Good morning and welcome to my garden. After 5 weeks away and probably 7 weeks since I've been in the garden, I'm really strongly feeling the need to reconnect with it all. It doesn't look too bad. We had some significant frost that burnt the top off my papayas and lots of bugs that got into the things that weren't covered. But there were vegetables to harvest when I arrived back home. I've decided I'll start cleaning up on contour 3 on the north. This one has the brassicas that we planted as seedlings about a month before we went away. So they should have all been lush and beautiful and productive by the time we got home. Unfortunately, a lot of them were eaten by caterpillars and grasshoppers. They're not producing quite as much as I thought they should be. There's also been the intense frosts that we had the day after we left. So this is a month and a half after those frosts. So there should be some new growth happening, and I think there is. So I'm going to start by cleaning up this bed today. The broad beans didn't seem to miss a beat with the frost. In fact, I'm led to believe that will help them produce good, strong pods. Let's see if that actually happens. Passion fruit looks a little bit burnt, but it's still doing okay. I'll wrap it around the tree a little bit more. Looks like the tree's trying to grow back. So that will provide some summer shade and also some grips for the passion fruit as it goes up. The parsnip did fine with the frost. No sign of damage here. My broccoli had a lovely big head on it when I came back. So we've harvested that and eaten that, and we've got some more heads coming now. So that's really pleasing. In spite of the bugs eating it, it's still producing for me. That cabbage was eaten back, but it is still producing a heart, so I should probably pick that one now and use it. First time I've ever grown fennel, and it has a couple of bulbs all ready to harvest. I'm assured that these little bulbs at the back will continue to grow, so I'm thrilled to be able to harvest this. We have a favourite meal, a fennel and broccoli salad with apple and ginger and parsley and watercress in it. It's very delicious and we enjoy it very much. My silver beet, that didn't seem to skip a beat. Might be time for a quiche. This is my purple sweet potato with the white flesh. It looks like it might have been frosted, but being a month and a half, 6 weeks since it was frosting, it's coming back nicely on the tips, and I should be able to harvest some sweet potato from this patch. I think the coffee did okay with the frost. It doesn't seem to be showing any damage. There's an apple plant there. It's looking pretty sad. Maybe that's frost. Maybe that's just not hit the growing season yet. Here's a second apple plant and a third one. That's looking all right. And the pomegranate didn't seem to skip a beat with the frost. So this is what I'm cleaning up this morning. Contour 3 on the north. So I finished the cleanup. I pulled out all the weeds that were growing between the brassicas. In doing so, I discovered a lot of carrot seeds that have germinated. I had not had success growing carrots from seed. So when my carrots went to seed, I let them mature and then I spread those seeds onto my garden here. And it looks like quite a number of them have come up. So that's very exciting. I have my chooks in a deep litter situation so that I can harvest the grass clippings and the other compost that I put in that pen. And so I've today moved some of that in here between the brassicas. So that will help to keep the ground covered, keep it warm now that it's winter, and help keep some of the moisture in. I harvested my fennel. You can see there's still some pieces there that could continue to grow. I'm not so worried about the clover around the vegetables. Clover is a nitrogen fixer, and so long as it doesn't take over everything, it's going to be doing good things for the garden, so I'm happy for it to stay there. You'll notice I put all my weeds on my chop and drop row. That way the nutrients are staying in the garden. A little bit concerned about the carrot weed that I found. The seeds aren't mature on it yet, but I'm hoping they don't mature to the point where they're going to spread. I do have a lot of carrot weed on this bed. I harvested my sweet potato. I have done a couple of big harvests. That with the frost that we had here while we were away, there are not many large tubers there. I also pruned the sweet potato that was growing down onto the grass, partly because sweet potato will just keep growing runners, and if you can contain the amount of above ground growth, it actually stimulates more below ground growth and the tubers get bigger. Another variety of sweet potato here. There's not much of it growing back. Clearly it prefers the warm weather. And so I took some of the runners that were just sitting on the ground and planted them under the ground here. Hopefully they will spread. We're having a little bit of rain every few days here, so it's good to know that that's going to be watered in. So that's contour 3 on the north. The vegetable side's all cleaned up and ready for more planting in the gaps. I could put a few more brassicas down there. Yeah, I know they're getting some shade from these poincianas as well. So that may be a problem there too. When I first established these beds, I had lemongrass and arrowroot growing at the end of the beds so that it would create a chop and drop source, and so it would create a beautiful effect as you walk down this pathway with the towering arrowroot beside you. I've realised that's actually causing a bit of a problem in a couple of fronts. Firstly, down there on the south, the arrowroot is crowding out the fruit trees on the western end of the bed, and it's blocking too much sunlight, so that's a problem. Arrowroot also expands and spreads and can encroach on the fruit trees. Also, I'm losing about 1.5 meters worth of planting space at the end of the bed where I'd like to plant my annual vegetables, and sometimes they also cause shade problems for the annual vegetables. So I've decided I'm going to remove my arrowroot and lemongrass from the ends of the bed, and instead I'm going to plant some down the centre of the chop and drop aisle. At the moment I don't have a lot of other plants that are producing great amounts of biomass for my chop and drop. So by just dropping these on the chop and drop row between all the other plants, I'm going to have a lot of arrowroot, and it will be very effective at providing a lot of chop and drop for me. And that's good. That's what I'm after right now. Lots of biomass production. The other thing it does is leave my vegetable production side very clear and open so I can plant as much as I want along my vegetable side. So I removed the arrowroot and lemongrass at the end of the bed, and I think it actually looks really nice. I'm going to leave arrowroot here at this very end, so I can easily do that by putting it there. I will dig it in a bit, but arrowroot doesn't need any invitation to grow. It really will grow. And then I can increase the drop and drop row all the way to the edge of the bed. Equally, I can increase the vegetable bed all the way to the edge of the bed, and I think that's going to look lovely. It also gives me scope for putting flowers in the middle here. Yeah, I like that idea. And you can see on this bed where I've got the chop and drop all the way to the edge and the veggies all the way to the edge, that's absolutely the perfect place to put some flowers. So I guess that's what I'll be doing next. So I'm really enjoying being back in the garden. I think I'm tiring a little bit faster than I used to, but anyway. Are you enjoying this video? Let me know. Write me a comment or hit the like button. It'd be good to hear from you. Now with the frost hitting these papayas, they lost a lot of their leaf. It's been 6 weeks since the frost, and a lot of the leaf on the top is starting to grow back. This one here actually died before we left. It rotted from the centre, and I'm going to chop it down to about knee high and allow one of these shoots to take off. So a lot of the branches that have been falling off, they're landing all over the garden bed, making it look messy. I'm adding them to my chop and drop row. Currently I have no ripe papayas that I can eat, but I'm considering learning how to use green papayas. I'm also removing the ones that are worst affected by the frost, putting them in the chook's pen. I had a papaya here that died before we left, so I've chopped it down. Now they all say to put a can on top of papaya because they're hollow in the centre and they'll get full of water and they'll rot. Papaya has these rings through the middle of it to help it be stable and will prevent water going all the way down the centre of the trunk. So there's going to be very little water that'll be able to sit there and rot that papaya. And we've got some nice shoots here that are going to shoot up, and I'll have a papaya back here. Maybe in a year or so it'll be as tall as the others again. But that's not going to need a can over the centre of it to stop water pooling because it's almost level. I could cut it a bit more, but I'm a bit concerned about how thin that area there may be. And of course, it went on my chop and drop row. Papaya is heavy. It's really good at holding moisture, And as a bonus, it'll hold down the lighter parts of the chop and drop that are going to get blown away by this breeziness that we have at the moment. I've just dug up the potatoes that were planted here, and this is my harvest. Now, it's not many, considering I would have planted 8 good-sized potatoes there. I did not double my harvest. So I've cleared out this patch. This was the only potato that I got from this row. I'm really disappointed to discover I've got so few potatoes, but I'm encouraged to see the size of my earthworms. They're significant. So with a few of those in the garden will be healthier. But why did I not get any potatoes? So this is the area of the garden that was under shade from that poinciana. And it shaded right up until those healthy looking potatoes, so that it would have some sun falling on this part of the garden, but a lot of shade for most of the day. Particularly when we got to winter, which is when the potatoes were being grown, the poinciana shaded all of this part. I did better on this side. That's my harvest from this row over here, and it was all in the one row beside the parsley. What I'm not too impressed with is how many I damaged by harvesting them with a fork. I noticed this one's already green from being very close to the surface. Perhaps if we'd have been home over the last growing season, I could have put mulch over the top of them so they didn't go green from the exposure to the sunlight. Obviously I had kitflers planted here, and this is what I've pulled out. So far, the kitfler have produced the highest number of tubers. So I've cleaned up the vegetable side on the north of contour 2. I have some red onions growing here and some white onions growing here. Interesting to note that the white onions are doing far better. They're growing far larger, far stronger. They've got more leaf than the red onions. I have one patch of potatoes here that is still growing and strong. This would be a different patch of potatoes, or at the very least planted at a different time. So they're still growing too. These ones are dying off. I don't know how long until they'll be ready to harvest. I'll check my book. This is giant black Russian garlic, and it's growing very strongly. This was some of the Australian pink garlic, and that isn't nearly as exciting as the black Russian garlic. Another variety of potatoes here continues to grow. I'll wait until that dies off before I harvest that. My parsley's still doing well. I harvested potatoes from here and from here and from here. This carrot went to seed a while ago. This is a cosmic purple carrot. I have picked a couple of seed heads and sprinkled the seeds around the garden. These ones aren't quite ready to do that yet. And I believe these are garlic. I hope I didn't damage them too much when I dug the potatoes. So that's contour 2 on the north. The vegetable side's all cleaned up and ready for more planting in the gaps. So I have a number of gaps here, down here, here, where there used to be potatoes. Down this end was not planted up before we went away, ran out of time, so all that's available to me too. But they're all looking nicer and neater. So I'm going to take a break and have some lunch. Okay, I'm on a roll. My daughter has freed me to spend all day today, and I don't have to do the school run, so I'm getting a lot done. So I have completed contour 2 and 3 on the north, and I'm up to contour 1 now. So like the other ones, I'll remove the arrowroot and the lemongrass. And actually I'll take this one out as well from the fruit tree aisle and the vegetable aisle. I'll leave it in the chop and drop row. Ah, that's interesting. Arrowroot keeps spreading. You can see it spreading through the middle of the lemongrass here. So it's going to smother out the lemongrass. Yeah, arrowroot's useful. It's great. Just keep an eye on it. So I'm going to remove these 3, so then I'll have all the way to the end vegetable rows. So there are a lot of weeds growing up in here. I have a lot of carrots that are going to seed. I'm going to keep them. That'll be the source of seed for my next season. I don't tend to have good success with planting carrot seeds when I buy them and I drill them straight. But since I've been growing my own carrot seed, my carrots are coming up so much more reliably. So that's what I'm going to continue doing. We have some creeping weed here and here that's tying up the plants. It's not causing too much of a problem yet, but I will be trying to get rid of that. I'll let those lettuces go to seed so that the insects can have something to eat, plus that'll also help spread them around the garden. I had one eggplant that grew while I was away. I guess I can harvest that. But I'll be planting more eggplant in this garden bed, I guess. And I'll be clearing all this out and planting more here. So yeah, there's a lot to be done in this garden bed. So I finished cleaning up contour 1 on the north. Removed the arrowroot and lemongrass that was growing along here. And I discovered that the arrowroot keeps moving, so I've actually reduced the size of this plant as well. You can see I've got places where I can plant more vegetables for this coming season. There are a lot of carrots going to seed, and a number of carrots that became too big during the time we were away. So they've been split, and I guess I'll have to use them in a soup because they won't be very sweet anymore. Oh, here's another one that should probably be harvested. So it's a white carrot, but it goes green where it's in the sun. So these carrots along here will become the source of my carrots for the next season. Down this end there is a lot of creeping weed. I find that really hard to pull out, and there are many rhizomes under the ground that make it very difficult to remove. I'm working on a strategy of getting a load of fresh horse manure and dumping on it to burn it, to smother it. Maybe that'll be good enough. Maybe a load of fresh mushroom compost will also help to clear out all the weeds in that space. But it's not something my hands are up to doing today. It turns out that the northern side of my garden has become my annual vegetable garden. The other side over on the east is more of a perennial garden, and the plants that grow over there don't need quite the attention that these annual vegetables do. And so getting the extra space that I can at the end of the rows will be valuable, allowing me the extra space to plant the vegetables that I need. It's the end of July, which means our winter season is nearly over and means we're almost ready to start our spring planting here in southeast Queensland. So I'll be making good use of these spaces in the coming days.